Hey everybody, and welcome to my top 10 favorite games of 2014. Not only will I talk about my favorite games of 2014, but also about my most disappointing game of 2014, as I did last year. And I am going to do the most disappointing one after the top 10, since, that is usually the thing that most people look forward to. They want to hear drama, they want to hear rants, but you gotta wait your turn for that. Also, unlike last year, I will actually do sort of like my New Year's or looking back on this new year after the top 10 instead of before, because some people are really only interested in the top 10, so I will not actually get in their way. So if you want to hear my story about how I look back on 2014, stick around to after the top 10. If not, that's also fine. You can turn off the video. Now, before I start the top 10, let me just talk about one game though. So, this is top 10 games of 2014, but I have to say that the best game that I played so far, or the most fun I had this year with the game that I played, was a game called Deadly Premonition. This is a game out of 2011. Now, it had a director's cut which was released later for PS3 and for Steam, and it is amazing. For anybody who loves single-player, story-driven games, please buy this game on Steam. It is only $2.50 right now. I myself paid the full 25 bucks for it, and I was blown away. It is amazing. It is a long game. It will take you easily over 20 hours, and it is amazing. But do not get me wrong. I say it's amazing, but it's an amazing car wreck. Some of the gameplay aspects work really badly, animation quality is horrible, graphics are outdated, and you might wonder, why do I recommend this game? Because there are some amazing things in this game which you have never ever seen in any other game. The fact that if you, for example, for several days do not shave in this game, your beard will grow, or if you do not change into other clothes, you will get a debuff and flies will start around you. Is kinda poignant for the level of detail that goes into this game, and the Shenmue esque influences that this game has. Really, I mean, for $25 you might think, well, such a bad game, because it is really a game that's so bad it's good. It is amazing. There are some really high quality influences in here that even AAA games do not have. Like I said, because of the level of detail with the clothing or with the shaving or whatever. But $2.50 is a steal. I cannot recommend this game enough. My only thing that I want to say, the very first 30 minutes are very boring, and I think that it was a grand mistake to actually have the game start out like that. But everything, the story is very intriguing, very interesting, very Twin Peaks-esque. I have a weakness for that sort of style, same with Alan Wake. The characters are incredible and have you laughing hard at times. The script is sometimes absolutely insane and doesn't make sense at all. But there's just a lot of love in this game, and you can see it. It is made by a Japanese company that just did not have the financial aid to completely polish this game, but they made the game that they wanted. Side quests are fun and varied, which I also recommend. My only disappointment with the game that I personally had was that I actually did not complete all the side quests. Some side quests you can only do during certain chapters or during certain circumstances. My advice, if you play this game, take your time doing all of the side quests whenever you can, because at a certain point I was not able to do some of the older side quests, and that was a disappointment to me. If you're not willing to buy it, please check out my Let's Play. It is in the description down below. It is definitely worth it. It is an experience, people. Like I said, $2.50. It is a steal. Alright, well, that's it. I hope I convinced you there. That's absolutely my pick of the year if it weren't for like games that I only played this year. So now we're going to my top 10 of games that I actually played this year. Let me say that I have a strict rule of not playing games in not chronological order, which means I'm currently playing Far Cry 2. I still need to play Far Cry 3. I still need to play Far Cry 4. I haven't played Assassin's Creed Unity. I have not played Destiny. Those type of games you will not see on my top 10 list. Doesn't mean I don't like them, I just haven't played them. Same goes for Dragon Age Inquisition, just so you know. Let's begin, people. On number 10, we find The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. A short but very sweet game that has you investigate the mysterious disappearance of a young boy named Ethan Carter as a detective. I have a great weakness for investigation and detective games, but I do prefer them in real time, which means there's only a handful that interest me. This game looks gorgeous and allows you to explore the creepy world freely to your own will. H.P. Lovecraft influences are thrown into the mix, and I thoroughly enjoyed the puzzles that were presented, and they motivated me to think about the plot. Some minor points might be the short duration and lack of replayability, but it is definitely a recommendation for anyone who urges to put that dusty Sherlock Holmes hat on again. On number 9, it is Alien Isolation that bears its teeth. I will not lie, I had my share of problems with this game when it was first released. I was getting bored by the fact that I was being chased by one same enemy, and it stopped being scary for me. The saving system is horrible, and I honestly did not think the game looked all that great. I also had numerous game-breaking bugs and glitches, and I definitely was not the only one, since other YouTubers like Angry Joe also encountered similar bugs and glitches. It even got to the point where it got so repetitive and boring that I took a break of about 3 to 4 weeks. I then returned fresh and fruity and had an absolute blast with the second part of the game. I really enjoyed the section with the androids, unlike most others. And there were several occasions where there was some really cool fan service. I took my time and had some absolute heart-pounding moments during the second half. The sound design is extremely well done, and the alien is absolutely menacing. I wish the alien would crawl a bit more instead of just walk on his hind legs, but nevertheless, when the game tries to hunt you down, it does it without mercy. On 8, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare explodes like TNT. Wow, wait a minute. A Call of Duty game in my top 10? Well, yeah. Believe it or not, this installment of this milked franchise is very competent. I absolutely hated Call of Duty Ghosts, with its uninteresting characters, storyline, and level design. But Advanced Warfare was capable of holding my attention for the first 2/3 of the game, and I had a blast playing it. Nice varied levels and colorful settings that were as spectacular as ever. Even the low-down stealthy missions were fun due to its aesthetic image and fairly open level design. Characters were interesting, albeit that the storyline was a bit predictable. I wouldn't say that Advanced Warfare was as interesting as Black Ops 2, which is also one of the better iterations, but it definitely held its head up high. On number 7, we have Konoa Rescue Force! I'm sorry, I meant Emergency 5. Originally, I was supposed to play this game with Shy, but he chickened out at the last minute. The price tag is indeed very high, but I found the game real refreshing. Instead of waging war like so many RTS games try to simulate, here we are actually saving lives. In this game, you take control of your own emergency rescue squad and will have to give aid in several accidents, disasters, and terrorist attacks. Fires need to be extinguished, people need to be given treatment, and bombs need to be deactivated by SWAT robots. Unique units like search and rescue dogs and recovery helicopters introduce new aspects to each big event. I will admit that a big influencing factor might be that this is my very first experience with this kind of game. There are 4 predecessors and other franchises that have this setting as well, which might even be better. But this was my first try, and it felt good actually helping people instead of killing them. We are almost at the top 5, but before that, we have number 6, which is Lords of the Fallen. Haha, this is actually a Let's Play in the making that you guys haven't even seen yet. When people said there was a game that tried to imitate the Dark Souls formula, I was immediately interested. I am always down for some Dark Souls-esque gameplay. The game is significantly shorter than Dark Souls, and the enemy boss variation is also not as good, but the combat mechanics and gameplay are solid. It actually introduces some small features which Dark Souls could utilize as well, like a risk-reward system with the amount of experience you receive per killed enemy. The story and characters are also fairly bland, but the world definitely intrigues and motivates exploring. I was always excited to play more and explore the dark dungeons, cathedrals, and catacombs. Boom! We have arrived at the top 5, and on 5 we have The Evil Within. Shinji Mikami is famous for Resident Evil, and his masterpiece Resident Evil 4 actually has a spot on my top 10 favorite games of all time. Now, The Evil Within might not be that good, but it was a blast nevertheless. The game had a very slow startup, and the first 3 chapters I was a little worried as the story and world did not grip me. But that slowly changed as each chapter introduced new mechanics and gameplay. The pacing is perfect as you get introduced with new fresh obstacles every few minutes. Aside from some bosses, these gameplay sections also have no repetition, which is great since it makes the game feel varied. From a claustrophobic fight in a maze with 2 giants, to a very open area where you're being hunted down by enemies in a tower armed with turrets, to more stealthy sections where you need to watch your head from being cut off by a gigantic rotating blade. And then there's of course the highlight of the game, which takes place in a haunted mansion, where the pacing actually slows down, and you can be chased down by a menacing, invulnerable enemy at any given time. It's nail-bitingly tense, and just oozes atmosphere. I would say that I was mostly disappointed that the game did not try to create an identity of its own, since the characters and world were so bland, and also the many sections have been sometimes literally stolen from other horror games like Resident Evil or Outlast. But nevertheless, I had a great experience with this lengthy adventure. On 4 we have the best survival horror of the year, and that is Outlast Whistleblower. I love me some horror, ladies and gentlemen, and Whistleblower blew both Alien Isolation and Evil Within away. Sure, it's a DLC, but it's just as long as the original Outlast, and it's actually better than the original. More variation in enemies to keep you on your toes, some real effective scares, a satisfying ending, and probably the most disturbing scene I have ever witnessed in a video game. Outlast Whistleblower is an absolute must for horror fans. This is it, the top 3, and on 3 we can see Shadow of Mordor sneaking by. After the drama surrounding Assassin's Creed Unity, one thing is clear. Shadow of Mordor is the go-to game for anyone needing an Assassin's Creed fix. This is by far the most beautiful game I have played this year, and though there was some stuttering going on at the beginning, it ended up running smoothly, and I had a blast running and climbing through Middle-earth. Controls were responsive, combat was brutal, and the stealth gameplay worked well. What I really loved is that the game went back to the roots of what it means to be an assassin. I dislike what they did with Assassin's Creed, with all sorts of convoluted side quests and storylines, whereas here, you can completely take your own time to hunt Sauron's forces down. Hunting, planning, and executing works as a dream, and the game will absolutely challenge you as your characters, especially in the beginning, can easily be killed. The Nemesis system is a real cool introduction, and the most next-gen feature I have seen this year. I felt a personal hate for several war chiefs, as they had killed me multiple times, and it felt satisfying to finally lay them down to rest eternally. The game becomes even more interesting during the second half, when you gain the ability to brand the orcs and have them fight for you. I commanded whole armies of orcs, or slowly spread my influence among an orc camp like a cancer. I remember the names and faces of my strongest orcs, and felt incredibly powerful having the power to command. Do not miss out on this game. On number 2 we have This War of Mine. The very first time I saw screenshots of this game, it looked very plain and boring to me. But then, I heard what the game was about, and it immediately spiked my interest. In this war of mine, you manage the survival of a few civilians caught in a fictional civil war. During the day, you can cook, build, and barter stuff in and around your apartment building. During the night, one of your people will head out to scavenge for supplies. We have a lot of survival games nowadays, but the setting is what sets this game apart. In the beginning, I had no trouble finding supplies like fuel, food, medicine, and ammunition. But, as time went on, supplies ran scarce, and I found myself in horrible situations where I stole food from an elderly couple. As I ransacked his fridge, the old man begged to leave him alone and asked if I had no conscience. It felt horrible to steal from these people, and by feeling that emotion, I realized that this game was special. You really care about your characters, and you create your own storyline. I highly recommend you watch my Let's Play of this game, as I think it is the best Let's Play I have done this year. During the Let's Play, there are several moments of joy and sadness, as not every character will survive the war. Characters like Marco, who the whole group depends on, or Pavle, who is the only character with blood on his hands, really come to life by the choices that I made. Killing and stealing also has consequences on your characters, as these are regular civilians and not soldiers. Sadness can lead to depression, and depression can lead to suicide. The game also has an actual end, which is positive since it motivates you to continue to struggle, unlike other survival games that have actual no end. Please experience this game. On number 1, and thus my favorite game of 2014, is Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is, in my opinion, inferior to its predecessor. But my god, did I still enjoy this ride. People said that this game was longer than Dark Souls 1, but I think that is a blatant lie, as it took me 40 hours to complete this game, whereas I struggled for 70 hours in the first one. The characters, world, and boss fights were all not as interesting as Dark Souls 1, but it did spike my interest to explore and continue the journey. The environments are definitely more varied, and there were some really clever PvP iterations as well. The gameplay still stands as a house, and the punishing difficulty is still as satisfying as ever. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of footage when some of my files got corrupted when moving it to an external disk, but the announcement of a definitive edition and the addition from the 3 DLC packs, which I haven't played yet, have me excited to embark on this journey once more. I was playing Lords of the Fallen, and I caught myself wishing I was playing Dark Souls. This is just a franchise that I absolutely adore, and even with the shortcomings that Dark Souls 2 had, it still was an amazing experience. Okay, people, that was my top 10 favorite games of 2014. Now, do remind that this is my personal top 10. It can be very different from your personal one. You know, that's fine because it's all subjective. It is an opinion. But what you're really here for, huh, is my most disappointing game, right? Let's get into it. My most disappointing game. Actually, before I do that, let me just talk about the whole fiasco, of course, with Assassin's Creed Unity. Like, I didn't actually play it. I got all the news of the bad shit that happened, but I actually personally did not experience, so I did not actually have that, even though that might have been an easy choice. Another contender for actually most disappointing game was a game called Dreadout, which is a horror game, but it's an indie game, so it is understandable why the quality would maybe lack, but it definitely was very disappointing and frustrating in a lot of ways. But my most disappointing game of 2014 is Watch Dogs. When the game was first announced, I was incredibly excited as the game looked action-packed, beautiful, and lively. Then later that year, we got a small game called Grand Theft Auto 5 that raised the bar significantly. Watch Dogs got delayed in response, and I could already see the shitstorm coming. The story, world, and characters were just all not interesting, and it really felt like a step backwards from GTA 5 instead of forwards. During the time of release, I started the Let's Play series of GTA 4 with the first-person mod, and I felt much more interested in playing that 6-year-old game instead of Watch Dogs. A game that had such a hype about it was doomed to disappoint, even though sales numbers were high. Still, to this day, I feel no motivation whatsoever to play this big budget game, and therefore it is my most disappointing game of this year. Alright people, that was my top 10 and most disappointing game of this year. I hope you liked it, and I am curious to hear you guys' opinion on most disappointing game, or your favorite game of this year. You know, everybody's top 10 or top 5 or whatever you do is very different because our taste is different, but that is what it makes very interesting, all this variation around us. Now, like I said, if that was the only thing you came for, I suggest turning off the video, as I will now do sort of like my year-end speech to look back and, you know, sort of look forward to 2015 as well. So, my god, people, 2014 was a good year for me. Not only in terms of YouTube, but also just personal stuff. 2013 was definitely a lesser year for me. Not that a lot of bad stuff had happened in 2013, like I didn't lose any family members or stuff, but you know, I've been here now in Japan for 3 years, and when I first came here, I studied Japanese just to learn Japanese, really, and to experience Japan, but I didn't really have a clear goal yet. So I was studying the language here, but I knew that I didn't want to do anything with Japanese, you know, as a job opportunity or something in the future. So those last few months in 2013, I was a little worried, and I was a little bit, I don't know, I had no real goal in the foreseeable near future. So I was a little worried there, but luckily I actually started a new education this year. I studied communication. I actually want to be into film directing, and though in the beginning it was all mostly reading materials and watching movies, and now we actually get to create our own footage as well, and that is really cool, and I think it will also be very helpful for my YouTube career, and hopefully in the future I can actually get some other stuff where I maybe can do some skits or something revolving around games. For example, I really love what Angry Joe does. Angry Joe does reviews of the games, and I don't necessarily want to do reviews, but in those reviews he always has little sketches where he dresses up and plays I don't know, comedic scenes from certain games, and that is something that I actually would really love. And there's actually a YouTube space here in Tokyo, which, if you have a YouTube channel of 1,000 subscribers and more, you can freely, you have to make an appointment though, but you can freely use their equipment and their green screen and everything to use. They actually have to check the footage so that it doesn't exceed any copyright laws and stuff. But I think if I'm pretty loosely with the costume design and not exactly copy what the game has, I can get away with that. I just need to find a crew still, but it definitely creates some opportunities. And you know, I made lots of new friends with the education. Had a very good year, very profitable. YouTube went very well. I mean, dear God, people, did we have 1,000 subscribers this year? I think, or was it last year? No, that was last year. Last year I had 5,000, so yeah. Oh yeah, of course. No, 10K. We hit 10K, of course, this year. So 10K first, and then we had 15K, and then we end the year with 16,000 subscribers. That is amazing. Now, last year, I sort of made a wish or something, a goal for myself in terms of how many subscribers I would have at the end of next year. And for this year, I made it 15,000. So we actually got to that goal. And I think that you need to set the bar pretty high, so I can actually make a prediction of how next year is going to be. And next year, I am definitely going to hit 30,000. That is without a doubt. But it says that in 2016, then I will hit 35,000 subscribers. But of course, I'm going to try and to improve my channel to boost the quality. And so my goal for next year, for at the end of 2016, would be to have 35,000 subscribers. let's hope that it will happen. A lot of very cool games are going to come out. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but let me just look back on 2014 as of late. So very good year for me personally, but in terms of games, I think 2014 was one of the lesser years, or not as interesting. But I mean, it is logical. In 2013, we had The Last of Us, we had GTA 5, we had BioShock Infinite. Such amazing games that blew me away. Such care put into those titles, and a lot of titles that were supposed to come out this Christmas got delayed. And so 2015 is actually going to be packed with AAA titles that are worth playing. But this Christmas period was actually very quiet and a little underwhelming. Um, didn't mean that I didn't have any I had pretty I had it pretty easy getting my top 10 together. So there was definitely stuff worth playing this year, but it just it wasn't as explosive as last year was. Now next year though is going to be amazing. We have a new Uncharted, which looks very good. We have The Witcher 3, which is amazing, and I'm already saving money for a new PC for that game. We have Evolve, which looks very interesting. Of course, Left 4 Dead is very cool, and with the modding scene, I am very much looking forward to see how that game is going to be. Battlefield Hardline, actually at the moment I'm very much looking forward to that because I'm very much into like the whole like SWAT sort of game. We have the Rainbow Six Let's Play currently on my channel, and with the whole thing that happened in Sydney, I really want to kind of do those SWAT situations. And of course, I guess the highlight of the year for many will be the new Battlefront. And like I said, I hope that I hit 35,000 subscribers next year. And man, we are going to go big when it comes to Battlefront. Currently, I am running very short on Battlefront 2 mods and maps. You people probably noticed that. And I have over 300 map reviews. I mean, there are not a lot of channels that have that many map reviews of Battlefront 2. And I appreciated that a lot of people said that I was their go-to guy for Battlefront reviews and news. And a lot of you guys actually also sent me a lot of maps, and I was very appreciative of that as well, since I cannot actually download those maps here. But Battlefront 3 is going to be hopefully amazing. I mean, we're going to pack out big. I'm actually thinking I upgraded my internet this year, and I'm actually thinking of maybe starting live streams in and around when Battlefront comes out. Probably going to test it out, before that comes out, so that I have a working well when Battlefront's actually released. And it would be a blast to actually play with you guys some multiplayer on that game. I actually know that a lot of my YouTube partners are also really looking forward to that game, and it's probably because they can see that if they play with me, that it will get a lot of views, and hopefully that will get some subscribers out of that. That's fine. I mean, that is going to be a huge success. For me personally, the game that I'm looking mostly forward to is Bloodborne. I don't think that game has a PC release yet, but it is definitely on my wish list. Of course, also people, oh, how can I forget? Already next month, less than a month actually, it is GTA 5 for PC release. How that is going to be amazing. I actually stopped playing GTA 5 on about 30%. So I have about like, I don't know, like, I guess 100% is if you get every collection. So I mostly do the story. So I have about like 60% to still play. And of course, the first person mode that is now actually native. It's not a mod that I use for GTA 4. Just is a blast. And the online world also looks amazing. I've never actually played it online. And I want to experience that game once again. And I cannot wait to start a Let's Play on that. So yeah, people, that was my year-end sort of review. Looking forward to. I hope 2014 was a good year for you as well. Unfortunately, in a lot of my friends, 2014 they say that was a lesser year for them, but I mean it differs per person. Like I said, 2013 was definitely a lesser year for me, and this year was a lot better. I have a clear goal again, what to do with my life, what is going on here. Really want to start finally doing some vlogs on Japan next year, since I can now rent camera equipment. That's actually 1080p and stuff, even 4K, but let's not go there yet. At my school, and yeah, no, it's just going to be beautiful. Hopefully, 2015 is going to be a beautiful year as well for you, for everybody. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I hope you guys have had a great Christmas, and I hope that you guys also have a great New Year. Um, uh, I'm going to just quietly spend it with friends and girlfriends at home. There's actually no fireworks here in Japan. It's kind of a shame. I wish there was more fireworks like it is in China or Korea. But I hope that you guys have a blast on New Year's Eve. And thank you guys so much for all the support you have given me during this year. I mean, when I look back one last time and seeing that um, games like or Let's Play series like Epic Arma have now actually risen to the top. Um, and my most watched videos, the top two videos that are now being watched the most, are not Battlefront mod videos anymore, but they are the zombie and the Napoleonic Epic Arma videos. And you guys are so creative with the thoughts and the scenarios that you actually think of for the Epic Arma, and I really love this community interaction that I actually have with you guys. See, a lot of people want to start a YouTube channel and then create a community where they have a forum and everything. Now, I never was a guy who really liked forums and forums and that sort of stuff, but I do really love the interaction that I have with you guys. But of course, if you have, I have a lot of people who say comments like, "Hey, hi," or "Hello there," or "First," or "Like," and this sort of stuff. Not really stuff that I really can, I don't know, can answer to. But this way, in that I can be creative in a way with a game, and you guys can help. You guys can also be creative. You can say stuff, and I can execute that, and this project that you and I have sort of like created together is really satisfying to me, and I really have good hopes that 2015 will also bring new series, new Let's Play series that can stand on their own. I didn't want to be, so, people have been asking me like, why don't you do only Star Wars stuff on your channel? That's the thing that gets most views, but I want to play what I want to play. Lords of the Fallen, I haven't uploaded yet, but my Dark Souls Let's Plays usually don't do very well, but I don't care. I want to play the games that I want to play, and I will upload them. And if there are Star Wars mods for anything, that's great, that's fantastic. Star Wars Conquest is of course doing a very great. I mean, that is a long-lasting series. That is now 91 episodes. It still gets over 1,000 views. It's incredible how that series is doing. But I'm just very happy with how those things have actually gone. Of course, the introduction of the Steam group, where we played the full invasion mod for Mount and Blade Warband, where several of you guys actually joined us into playing. Definitely in 2015 we'll make that bigger. We will make it more organized, and hopefully, like I said, when Battlefront comes out, you guys can join the Steam group, and we have just big multiplayer matches and epic sieges and stuff in Battlefront. It's going to be freaking amazing. Thank you guys so much for all the comments, support, subscriptions. I had a blast. See you guys next year.